So I got a question for you as far as the in-season tournament. So how do you think this like fits into the season? As far as like player accolades, recognition, and of course you got like we were mentioning here, LeBron versus MJ as this is another notch on his belt that MJ never had, or whatever. Like, how do you think the in-season tournament is going to be looked at going forward as far as like its value within the season compared to maybe the playoffs? Are player performances going to be accounted for during the season as opposed to regular season? Like, how do you think this is all going to like work in on that side of things?
Chip, you want to take this? I don't know if you have any takes on terms of like how does this? I think the six man. Your question was basically how does this fit into NBA culture and also statistically in the accolades? How does it fit in? Is it something just completely separate and experimental, or is it something that we think is going to be a natural part of what is the NBA? Right?
Or is it going to be another metric with which we use to gauge success or some kind of status within the NBA?
As far as accolades comparing like one era to another, I don't, people will try to do it, but I don't think it would be appropriate to try to add that on to LeBron got this and I said Kobe. Well, Kobe too, and Jordan or Kobe didn't or whatever, because he never had the opportunity to get something like this. But going forward, if there is anybody that ever gets to the echelon of being the next LeBron, and if this thing existed, then yeah, you could have that as like, how many of those did you get on your tally mark?
Mhm.
I could see it.
But do you think that, I guess, the title of in-season tournament champion or whatever is going to hold any weight in the way it does as a finals champion or
Oh no, I mean,
year, six man of the year, MVP, all these kind of like things we attach to what makes a player successful or great? Do you think in-season tournament has any kind of weight to it going forward?
it's definitely something. It's not a joke. Like I think a lot of people thought that this would be a gimmick and a joke.
Hmm.
There was definitely some gimmicky factors to some of the early games, but I think it gained a lot of respect as it went further deeper into the tournament, as fans and media and players started taking it more seriously. So it's I think it's definitely something that is. It's not winning a championship as far as the NBA Finals of going through the
Right.
grueling playoffs, but um, I think it's something. But then again, like almost any team could get quote lucky and win those four regular season games to match it to get into the tournament, right?
Hmm.
So I'm sure as this goes in 4, 5, 6 years down the line, you're going to have these teams that might not even make the playoffs, but could win the tournament, and that'll be an interesting dynamic. And you're not going to look back and say, "Oh, that the NBA Cup MVP player from whatever year that didn't make the playoffs is better now than that Finals MVP." You're never going to say that, right?
Yep. Let's hear Anthony Davis speak right now on it, and I'll give my take in a second. I gotta think a good one.
Uh, we know it's not the real thing, but we keep taking steps in the right direction.
Since we know it's not the real thing.
Great basketball team.
Yeah.
They've shown what they can do all season. But I think just
It does say champion big across the front of that hat, though.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
it was off the charts tonight. But the first to do it, we'll take it.
He's happy. Look at how happy he is. He deserves it. He's gotten a lot of shit over the past few weeks. He stepped up today.
Oh, he's also getting 500K.
Yeah, yeah.
Where is it? Show him the racks.
In Vegas tonight and no playing tomorrow.
I was just gonna say that my son came over and he's like, LeBron technically adding another title to his history or whatever. What'd you say?
Something that's been with him throughout his
I was
career
like,
because he's
LeBron
such a
had
great
another,
player, and to see him healthy and playing like
technically
this
adding
in a
another
big regular
title to
season
his,
game
to
and
like,
to win something like this is
what do I
Yeah, yeah. No, they got it. But yeah, see the fact that he added technically to it instead of just another title.
So does he does he think this one is worth more than the Mickey Mouse ring?
You saw that comment
The
in there. I
bubble?
cracked up when I saw it.
The
Yeah,
bubble run? Is that what you call
Yeah.
it? Yeah. What's your opinion? Does the in-season NBA Cup tournament title mean more than the bubble championship during the pandemic?
Considering what it looks like right now, yes, because there's actual fans.
Okay. Did you hear that?
I did because they're actual fan. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
it's so here's my whole take on like the relevancy of all this, right? First off, you have LeBron James and Anthony Davis at the apex of the first look award, so that's going to bring some legitimacy back into it. So no matter
That's true.
what you say about the tournament and teams played at such a high level, there's all sorts of advanced stats that you can take out of this tournament. For instance, teams were hitting deeper from three and at a higher percentage throughout this entire tournament than we've seen during the regular season. There are teams like the Lakers who have stepped up in this tournament style setting in ways that other teams haven't. Last year, who did we see in the playoffs make it far deep and nobody thought it was going to happen? The Miami Heat. And so what this allows teams to be able to do is you have your regular season, seeding, right? And there's teams who know how to do that throughout the year. Play your guys, on certain nights, not on back-to-backs. You know what to do with your superstars, your rotations. You got sort of a set system there. But when push comes to shove and you're in the playoffs, you have a whole different game. You're in a tournament-style setting. It's 7 games, best out of 7, 4 games you got to win. You got to win 16 total in order for you to make it to be a champion. So 16 games you need winning in that whole format. And so the play-in tournament, the play-in tournament is one element of it, which we saw a couple years ago, but the IST tournament is really for teams to see in this setting at the beginning of the season, who are the teams you have to keep an eye out for? And so I expect that Indiana, through Rick Carlisle and through their GMs, are going to figure out what to do with Isaiah Jackson backing up Miles Turner when they are, facing a team like the Lakers who have so much size to them. So they're going to go and figure that out. They might not have had that analysis if they had not reached this point in the season, because the lens is just so different when you're here night in and night out, going from city to city. You really have a sample size right now that is very valuable, I think, to a lot of teams. So they're going to look at those advanced stats. You're going to have to look at Boston Celtics when they are here in clutch settings. Of course, they didn't have Porzingis, and I think the game that they got eliminated, but that's a reality that could happen in the playoffs. How do they adjust when he's out of the game? So every team has different questions that they have to answer through this tournament. Yeah, so I actually want to hit on a point because I didn't get to finish it with the Great Wing, but I want to finish the point that I was making. I kind of had to rush through it. But this was, and so Matt, when you talk about statistically, yes, there will be a data set that's statistically relevant, and the awards, the championship is going to be valuable in of itself. But it's really going to be the data set behind it. And what's going to happen through this tournament and these experiences, it's going to be exactly what the Great Wang talked about. Maybe get exposed and use it to help acquire what they are missing before the trade deadline. So you have 2 scenarios here. You have the Indiana Pacers and you have the Lakers. Do the Lakers get complacent because they won the IST? Or is there still a level that they want to reach and will still aim for that level? I think if we talked earlier in the season, and people know this because I said it, D'Lo was signed so he could be traded. Is that still the case? That's something that you have to think about, how this will shift how you view the trade deadline. And for the Indiana Pacers, and like I said before, with Miles Turner and his backup, does this make them want to make a move quicker? And so I think across the league, this will stimulate the trade market in a way, because guess what? It isn't just about the players that are playing today. Everyone is sitting at home watching this game. Teams were not playing as many games sitting at home and watching the teams that they are foreseeably going to face in the playoffs. So they are all sort of making moves. This player looks good. That player looks good. You don't have time to breathe during the NBA season to go do that because you're so involved in your day-to-day tasks. So that is where I see that this is going to make another big material impact very soon, because guess what, guys? In 6 days, the trade deadline is about to go wild, because teams that have signed players this summer will now be able to trade those players in less than a week. This was all intentional for this to happen. By next week, teams are going to call about Levine over here, who's going to be injured for a couple weeks, so that may not happen, but the market will be stimulated based on this tournament and the perception behind certain teams. So that's my long-winded point. So they gave the MVP to the player of the entire tournament. That's also interesting too, and the Six Man, when we talk about our perspectives on this whole thing, because now we're also judging LeBron, and we're judging the MVP of this future tournament through the entire player of the tournament. Whereas a lot of times for the finals, we get the finals MVP just for the finals because it is the finals. So the in-season tournament allows you from the beginning to the end, whatever the storyline is behind a certain player, that carries all the way to the end. And that carries a powerful narrative that I think fans will identify with. So
yeah, that's an interesting dynamic. I didn't know that the MVP was for the entire length of the tournament. I thought it was just for the night's game.
this is a great take from Worst Taste Weird. Overall perspectives seem to show that the IST has room to grow and some amazing solutions have been shared. Now let's see how they evolve. Let's hear LeBron.